the next question, which is from Yazan on YouTube. Do you use any DO meters or dissolved oxygen meters at the brewery? Excellent question. No, but there are some things that you can do because listen, most breweries don't have. Most breweries are in my situation where they don't currently have a method for purging tanks or a way to measure dissolved oxygen and things like that. I've referenced it a few times on the channel, but you should dig in and find a awesome podcast on Master Brewers Association on handling oxygen in the brew house. And they spend a lot of time about talking about things that if you don't have the fancy meters, what can you do? They had a woman on talking about some research that they did. And the essential takeaway from that is what I have implemented at the brewery. They say that, for instance, usually the first thing you're purging in a brewery is a bright tank. You're typically not purging your fermenter or anything like that. And again, when we say purging, we mean purging it of atmosphere, oxygen, and replacing that with CO2, because oxygen is the enemy of finished beer and will change the flavor and increase the rate of staling in that beautiful beverage you have just so carefully crafted. So you want to keep that oxygen out, so you're going to be purging. They recommended setting your PSI on your CO2 regulator to 5 PSI and from a low portion in your tank, because remember, CO2 is heavy and does like to settle, that you should be purging that tank for a half hour for every 5 barrels of the size of the tank. So if you have a 5-barrel tank, you can purge that for a half hour, 1 hour for a 10-barrel bright tank, an hour and a half for something else. Now, there may be some of you pros out there that are screaming, I don't do it like that. I purge faster, shorter, and I don't have issues with DO. Good for you, man. That is not what they found with this one study, and that's the study that I'm running with. Sometimes people will be like, do the sniff test, where you'll have you have your tank and your CIP line coming out, your blow off line coming out off the top, and then you take this valve right here, this blow off line, and you cup it and smell it when you're purging to see if it's all CO2. It's a super inaccurate way, not OSHA approved. You're huffing CO2. CO2 will kill you. But yeah, we tend to run that hour and a half slow purge from low on the tank. The idea behind the slower purge is that you're going to be creating more of a layer of CO2 that can slowly fill the tank and more evenly rid the tank of oxygen. They feel as if you're pushing gas in too fast. What you're going to do is, rather than creating and kind of filling a column, a rising column, you're going to be mixing. You're going to be mixing atmosphere and CO2. Okay. And that's a less efficient way of evacuating atmosphere. So that's what I do. I like to even purge, like my favorite way to purge a transfer from a cold beer in the fermenter to a bright tank. I like to have my transfer line connected to the fermenter with a T built off of that, so I can actually purge through that all the way through the transfer line and through the bottom of the bright tank. That's one way I like to do it. But anyways, that's kind of the tip that I would give you. And definitely go and check out that Master Brewers Association podcast, and maybe I can link it in the description for when I cut this one up for a Q&A question, because it's a great one, and you should check it out. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.